Podcast Answer Man, episode number 56. This show is sponsored by AG Design.
Need a new website, logo, or artwork for your podcast? Visit ageedesign.com/podcast today.
For a 20% discount, be sure to mention the Podcast Answer Man. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and today I am joined by my good friend, Jeff Roney, who happens to be a podcast producer of his very own, and he does many podcasts such as Roney Zone Radio and several other productions. What else are you doing there, Jeff?
Oh, Tatooine TV, a little comedy production, and I've moved into doing sci-fi fan audio, and the new project we're doing is New World Army.
And I listened to one of the episodes of the New World Army, and I am very amazed at the quality of the background audio, the sound effects, and all the different things that you're pulling together. It's just really top-notch quality.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And where can they find the New World Army show that you're doing?
That's at nwarmy.roneyzone, which is RON as in Nancy, EYZON as in Nancy, E.com.
Very cool. Today what we're going to talk about is different ways, different things that you can do to promote your podcast. And obviously, as a podcaster, I can't imagine any podcaster out there that does not want to grow the size of their audience.
Well, I think in really thinking about this, I decided to kind of go for the gold, because you really have a gift to teach people the different parts, how to start, what to get, what do you need, how to do certain things, how to use different programs and different products. To me, the brass ring has always been a promotion. And just you hit it on the head. You know, whether it's a small show, a big show, you can always use more listeners. And so that was kind of my quest a while back, to kind of find inexpensive ways, because I'm not rich, as I know you aren't either, to promote the show, or whatever you're doing. And I kind of want to turn the tables a bit and ask you, what did you do in the early days of GSPN?
Well, for me, I kind of fell into a lot of success as far as promotion, because I started on as one of the earliest Lost podcasts out there, and Lost being as huge as it is, a lot of people were going into the search engines over at iTunes searching for the TV show episodes that they could at that time download for the very first time. And people were very excited about the fact that they could download episodes of Lost. And when they saw that there were podcasts, many people didn't even know what a podcast was, but they saw that, weekly Lost podcast. Why don't I just try it out? It says subscribe. It doesn't look like it costs anything. And so a lot of people found us that way. And so I would say that just getting submitted into iTunes was huge for us in our initial success.
That seems to be the first thing that people tell me and anybody else, is just get in iTunes and the world will just come and listen and subscribe to your show.
I've heard that as well. I agree with that, depending on what the name and title and keywords of your show are. It's totally dependent upon that.
Well, the planets lined up for you. You woke up in the right day. You hit it all right on, perfect timing, because Lost just exploded. And I remember listening to your early shows, and you had a very average listener that really was interested in it, and you had a heart for it. And I think people really liked it. You were just two viewers that liked them, that could, and you were kind of engaging and pulling them into it. So it was very interesting that everything pretty much lined up for you. And of course, you moved on to bigger and better things. But the one thing you said is picking the right name, the right keywords. And so, the one thing that I would say, I don't want to go too far into it, but it's just, do your homework before you have a show. When my mom was getting ready for me, she, painted the nursery, right?
Right.
And getting all the different parts together for me to be born. And it's the same thing for a podcast, is you need to think ahead, have your subject ready, have all the different parts so that, you will, maybe place a little higher, maybe kind of read a little bit. But I think that's important. But let's set that aside for a second, and let's talk to somebody that's maybe podcasting for 6 months to a year. Let's say that they've really listened to people when the people say, your headphone really stinks. I can barely hear you. Please spend some money for a better mic. And you kind of get over that and you go, oh, okay, I will. And you've really made steps to really better your show. And you still only have 33 subscriptions, maybe on FeedBurner. What do you do? So that's really the premise of, what we're talking about today. And I think one of the big things is when I went to the Podcast and New Media Expo last year, remember this question was thrown out. Are you podcasters or are you marketers? Are you in sales or podcasting? And everyone's, oh, I'm a podcaster. Well, the guy, it was Jason Van Orden, said, no, you're a marketer. You're a salesperson. You need to sell yourself and sell your show. And I think we need to kind of shake off that stigma and really kind of look at it for what it is one of the mantras I accept is, unless you have a great show like your show about Lost, the people aren't going to come to you. You have to go find them. And so that really is auspices of what I'm going to be talking about in the next couple of minutes. So the first thing I want to bring up is the circle of friends. Now, sometimes you hear these things tossed around, leave some feedback, email somebody. But I think that there is a way that you can not only do that, but also kind of create rapport with another show. So what I think is important is to find maybe a middle ground show. It's in the middle. When you start out, I wouldn't pick a show like This Week in Tech.
Right.
Try to find a middle show and really go at it like you're building a friendship with this show. Send them an email, honest feelings about their show. Send them voice feedback. Really try to assist them, help them. Go and leave iTunes reviews. Try to put yourself in their shoes and do what you would really want other people to do for you. So you're going to help out their show, and they're going to start to really notice and say, man, this guy's he's emailing me, he's leaving me feedback that is pertinent to the show. He's not trying to just toot his own horn, but he really cares about what I'm doing, and he has some very insightful information. Well, once you do that for a while, then you can start looking on links on their website, and then you could do it for their friends as well. The interesting thing about groups like that is they start talking to each other. And if you can really befriend other shows, it's going to take you a lot farther than just, spamming a message board and that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I've talked about this once or twice in the past. I have received a couple calls for various shows where I have gotten somebody just calling in and saying, hi, my name is so-and-so. I listen to your show. And by the way, I do this really awesome podcast and you should check it out. And this is how you find it. And I just think it's really great what you're doing. And just want to let other people know that I'm out here too. Thank you very much. Goodbye. I would never dream as a podcaster of playing that voicemail in my in one of my shows. It just isn't going to happen. I charge way too much money personally for sponsors to pay for 8 seconds, let alone to let somebody come in and share something like that. But what you're talking about is not necessarily building that kind of relationship, but a real relationship with somebody who is doing a show. And to give you a perfect example, I think of what you're talking about here is what I've done with Father Roderick over at SQPN. You listen to Father Roderick, don't you?
Sure.
So you've probably heard me on there on several occasions. And it's hardly ever hey, Father Roderick, this is me and this is what I'm doing and this is all about me. But most of the time it's like, hey, Father Roderick, I heard that you mentioned in a previous episode that you were looking for a way to sync your iPod Touch to Google Calendar. Here's a program that I tried. This is what I think of it. It works great for this. It's not so great for this, but I hope this helps you out. And if anybody's interested, I have more Mac tips over at helpigotamac.com. And I just leave it at that. Now, I do a little of tooting in my own horn, but I always bring value to the conversation. You have to join the conversation. You have to kind of prove yourself worthy of leaving feedback, in my opinion.
Well, what you did is exactly what I'm talking about. Is when you listen to his show, he said, I need to find out how to do thus and so, or I want to find out about Facebook, and then you had these great Facebook screencasts, and so you felt full within the subject to say, Father Roderick, listen, I know that you've been having some difficulty understanding Facebook, which was months ago. And I have these screencasts that I really think would be easy for you to use. And they're piece by piece, and you can learn all the things that you need to learn. And then by taking that, he not only could help himself, but also help his listeners. So it's like you said, it's listening to the show, finding out how you can give some valuable input. One of the guys I'm listening to says 75% of what you're doing should be valuable input. And 25% can be, your URL, your show name, or whatever. But as long as you're fitting in what they need, that's really in the ballpark. But like you're saying, leave a message. Hi, I think your show is great. By the way, my name is... That's just that's not it. So
right, Duct Tape Guy in the chat room says it's all about building conversation and building community. But if you're known as building up the community, it builds up your personal brand. And I totally agree with that. I mean, everything that if I think of all the people who I consider to be the most prominent people in podcasting and new media, then every name that comes to mind I can tell you they all share the same common trait, and that is they're very involved in the community, meaning the community of listeners that surround their show, but they're also very involved in the community of listeners of other shows that they have, like you said, built a relationship with other podcasters and their shows, and they're consistently involving themselves in the conversations back and forth to where it doesn't matter what show you listen to anymore. Eventually, you're going to hear that person's name, and if you're bringing value to the conversation, if you bring something of value, people will talk about you, because what you have of value is something that's not only going to be valuable to them, but valuable, like you said, to other people. And if they can share this, like, for example, this Common Craft. Have you heard about the Twitter in plain English from Common Craft?
I haven't yet, but I will in just a second. Go ahead.
We'll go to podcastanswerman.com and go through the archives of the blog entries there for Podcast Answer Man, and you will see Common Craft did this excellent podcast. Now, I had never heard of these people before in my life, but what they did is they built something of value that is simply amazing. And it's a short little video called Twitter in plain English. And it is amazing. I guarantee you, Jeff, as soon as you watch it, you will be hard-pressed not to share that with 15 or 20 other people. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you'll want to. And that's so there are two things. There's number one, building the relationship and really being involved in the conversation. And then number two, and it's another part of the equation, and you can do this. Like I said, I've never heard of Common Craft before this or since this, except for people talking about how awesome this is. And so number two, the part of the equation is bring something of value. Bring something that just speaks value, and people will start talking about you. And here I am on episode 56 of Podcast Answer Man talking about Common Craft and that awesome video called Twitter in plain English. And so it just goes on. It carries down the line. it speaks so much more than, hi, my name's Cliff and I do a podcast about podcasting over at podcastanswerman.com. Thought you should know since you obviously do a podcast about podcasting. That just doesn't work. It almost sounds cheesy, cheap, and it's just not what this community is about. So I agree with you. It's all about building that relationship.
And not only that, I think it's also born out of what would I use? What would I need? And so probably they had a lot of questions about, what is Twitter? Can you explain it to me? And so one of them, I would imagine, sat down and said, we should do a video. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And then the other person said, well, what should it be about? It should be kind of fun or interesting. And then there you go. So it starts out of a need or probably answering a lot of questions. And then it kind of goes from there. I think one of my gold nuggets of doing promotion is using subdomains.
Okay.
Because the brand is there, but then you can also attach, whatever you want, whether it's maybe a favorite show of yours or whatever. And then you can, instead of saying, okay, listen, my show is on TalkShoe, and listen, my ID is this. If you can't find that, go and search for this keyword, look about a third of the page down, and then double click on that show, and there it is. Instead of saying it's this, like swtalk.ronizone.com.
Right.
There you go. Done.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that, because of course we do perform a lot of our shows live on TalkShoe, which, by the way, we thank TalkShoe for providing bandwidth for Podcast Answer Man. But anyway, we do use TalkShoe quite a bit, and people are like, okay, well, how do I get into your live shows? And it's really nice for me to be able to say, hey, go to gspn.tv/chat or gspn.tv/live. It'll take you right there.
What I've done is if I have a favorite show, like maybe the Dog the Bounty Hunter show or whatever, one of my shows I really want to promote, highlight, whatever, is I create a subdomain for that episode on TalkShoe, and there you go. Put it in my little signature block under my email or when I'm in a forum. I mean, to me, that's not like overly, promotional. It's just there. If you want to look at it, if you want to click on it, you can. But I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. I'm just putting it there, which is, part of living on the internet. You have a little email signature line, and that's it.
Right.
So, all right, let's kind of hit the final two. Let's say. So I was in Hawaii a couple of weeks back, and I had my camera, and I happened to be working close by. I was looking around for lost locations where they film certain scenes and everything. And I found at least 22. And so I just started to use my camera and film me visiting these sites. Well, I mean, that's another thing, is that the video aspect sometimes is often, set to the side of audio podcasts. And why not use the power of YouTube, all their keyword, all their whatever, to promote what you're doing? And it's just kind of keeping your head about you when you're moving around, when you're doing whatever you're doing. I mean, more than likely you have an audio recorder, but if you have a camera that takes video, keep that handy. You never know what you're going to find.
Right,
and you could create a viral video that could, whatever. If you're at the zoo, just videotape, whatever for a while, and something funny could happen, and there you go. So, don't forget video. If you have a camera that can capture video, don't forget about that. I mean, it could happen. I mean, just like you had that shooting right outside your house or down the street or something. That's wild stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, here's a perfect example of how not to forget about video in your marketing aspect of things. One of the things people realize is that the Podcast Answer Man, we're primarily an audio related podcast. However, I did record a couple video episodes, and one that I recorded was how to do a mix minus on your mixer so that you can record Skype interviews and you can bring in telephone calls and you can bring all these people into your recording live without sending their own voice back to them as an echo. And currently I'm running 2 different Mix Minuses to do this show live on TalkShoe. And what I did is I spent probably about 13 minutes putting together a video explaining what a Mix Minus is and how I accomplish it using my mixer. And I thought, this would be interesting for some people. Turns out my video did go viral. A few people picked it up, and they were, a lot of people were podcasters, very popular bloggers out there picked it up, and they all linked back to it. Next thing I know, I've got 7,000 downloads of this video. And it's like, what in the world happened? And today, people are still writing me weekly saying, hey, I've been watching you ever since I heard about your mixer video. And I just can't tell you how valuable I find all this information. And not to mention the fact that it's helped me sell quite a bit of audio equipment because people realize that, it put me out there as an expert in the field on how to accomplish some of the more difficult tasks of podcasting. But that is a perfect example of something you can do with video. And one other thing is perhaps there are some podcasters out there who are audio podcasters, and maybe you just spent your last bit of money upgrading your audio quality so you have yourself a nice microphone now. Here's one thing that I would suggest. Maybe you can't afford a video camera. Well, most of us have either a PC with Movie Maker 2007 or 2008 on it, or you might have a Mac with iMovie. Either one of these would be able to take the audio and import the audio into a track into that program, and then you can take pictures, photos, whatever. You can create images and put together a slideshow to do a promo. So record yourself a nice 5-minute promo with nice pictures, images that kind of back up the point of what you're trying to get across. And in some cases, even like my own, pictures in a slideshow might even be better looking than you. So anyway, that could be a possibility as well. But again, for folks that don't have a video camera, don't count video and YouTube out as a promotional tool for your podcast.
And one more just to add to that, if you have a video camera but you don't have a software to create a movie, I have 2 free online sites that'll do it.
Okay.
Jaycut, JAYCUT.com. You can upload your photos there, put in your audio level, put in your audio layer, and put together a video that you can now upload to YouTube. A second option, if you want to stay on their site, they're probably going to change it so you can download it later, but is JumpCut. I'm a huge JumpCut fan. I love it because I can take the movies or pictures off my camera, upload it, add in music. They have different types of brightening and all kinds of really cool ways to treat the video and pictures that you upload. So Jaycut and JumpCut.
Okay, very cool. So you said you had one other tip?
Yeah, one more. And what's interesting is when people deal with podcasting, they think solely about the audio aspect. And, they market to the audio part. They market to listeners of other shows on message boards and all this kind of stuff. And to me, it's like fishing in a small pond with thousands of other fishermen. You can do it, but it's pretty difficult. And so one of the arms I think people forget about is actually the written word. And blogging, yeah, but let's set that aside for a minute. There are a lot of great opportunities of online magazines like iProng, for example. They have reviews that people can write for the magazine. And Bill Palmer's a great guy. He will put it in there, put your name, and you have, published a review in a magazine. And I did a couple of reviews, and then I sent him just a little blurb about New World Army, and he featured it in an article just about New World Army. So don't forget about the written word. Don't forget about writing. I mean, sometimes e-zine articles, people are kind of back and forth on, I don't know, whatever, but there are magazines that will accept your reviews and articles, and it's worth giving it a shot. Brush up on your grammar and, become an expert in the written word as well. And you'll point it all back to your site anyway. So that's just something else to think about.
Right. Absolutely. So there are many opportunities out there, and these are all things you can do on a very low budget, things that you could be doing right away. There are so many other things that you can do to help promote your show. If you have an idea and you want to share it and maybe even mention the name of your own podcast, we're all about that. As long as you're adding to the conversation, why not give us a call at area code 859-795-4067. That's again 859-795-4067, and just leave us your idea of a wonderful way to promote podcasting online so that people will know about you. One of the things, just tons of little things, such as maybe you have a podcast that is maybe the topic is something that's great for an audience that's not typically tech savvy, but if they knew a website URL and they could just type it in and they were interested enough in the topic, they'd come, then maybe you could go to the local library and post an 8.5 by 11 advertisement up on the community bulletin board. It may be at the local colleges. You could post them up there. With the little tear-offs of the URL. All of these little things that we sometimes neglect to think about that are commonly used every single day.
I totally agree. And I would even kind of go farther than that. Based on what your beliefs are as a person, you more than likely are a member of a group. And let's say you're a member of a church that maybe isn't as tech savvy as maybe Watermark is, right?
Right.
Okay. So what you could do is, maybe talk to moms about, maybe getting a group together to show them how to do podcasts, that maybe they could podcast about their experiences. Maybe you can talk to somebody about doing a Bible study, or maybe you're a part of a chess club and you want to get people started on doing a podcast about, playing chess or checkers or whatever. Whatever the interest is, there is an audience, but it's just kind of getting them over the hump. And once you help somebody get online, they will remember you. They will remember you. Because you were helpful and you helped them kind of get it. And once the light goes on, it's fun to watch somebody that's brand new to the whole new media thing. Kind of when they get it, it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this episode of the Podcast Answer Man. Folks, you can find Jeff Roney and all of his stuff, links to everything he does over at the Roney Zone Production Network, and that can be found at jrdonline.com. Any place else you want to promote while you're on here?
Nope. Just hang in there with Cliff. He's doing a great job, and I'm just happy to be on the show, Cliff.
Very cool. And just one other thing I'll say about Jeff, for those of you guys that are not aware of this, and it probably back in September of 2007, after toiling and really just beating myself up over whether or not I should stay in my old career as an insurance agent, or if I should maybe pursue podcasting and new media as a career full time, 5-10 years down the road, or should I just go ahead and jump for it now? I got a phone call from Jeff or an email from Jeff saying, I'd love to talk to you by phone. And he and I sit down and had a conversation. And I will tell you that Jeff was probably one of the catalysts that really helped me to understand my true passion is something that could possibly be something to pursue for a living. And Jeff, I want to say thank you in front of this audience here, and on behalf of this audience. This audience probably needs to thank you as well for you being an instrument in that. And I know that they're enjoying the fact that I'm out here pursuing my passion, doing podcasting, new media full time, and actually making it happen. So, Jeff, thank you for your encouragement in that area.
You're very welcome. And I have a gift, if some people want to call it that, of kind of seeing sometimes just doors for people maybe that they don't see. So I was just really kind of happy to kind of nudge you, probably shove you out the door. But it was it all fell into place, and I'm just so pleased to just kind of see what's happening.
Well, I tell you, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm glad to have friends like you in it, and thankful for the community out there. And we'll be back soon, very soon, with another episode of the podcast Answer Man. Again, jrdonline.com. Check him out.